Welcome, everyone, to the monthly Alameda Chamber and Economic Alliance podcast. Today's discussion is all about the City of Alameda economic development. We have three amazing guests here, and we're excited to roll it on.
Well, good morning. My name is Dwayne Donovan, so I'm the fairly new Economic Development Division Manager for the city. So I fall under the Base Reuse and Economic Development Department, so working with the business community throughout the city.
Hi, Stephen Bader, Executive Director of the East Bay Economic Development Alliance, or East Bay EDA. We're a regional economic development organization with more than 150 members from business, economic development, education, labor, local government, nonprofits, philanthropy, research, and other groups, and do a lot of different work to help support strategic economic development throughout the East Bay region in partnership with our cities and with many other groups. And so it's exciting to be here this morning.
Great, thank you.
Abby Thorne-Lyman. I'm the Director of Base Reuse and Economic Development. So I oversee the economic development as well as the development, property management, and disposition of Alameda Point, which is the former Naval Air Station that makes up about a third of the island.
Great, thank you. So my first question comes to Dwayne. What has been your impression about Alameda's landscape, economic landscape, as soon as you came in? Can you share?
Sure. So I've been with the city about a month now. One of the things I was impressed with, so I was at the Chamber's economic forecast, and just hearing those companies there, I was really impressed with the type of tech companies that are here in Alameda, and it seemed to me from an outsider kind of looking in that I don't know if the rest of the world knows about all the cool companies and innovation that's happening here in Alameda.
Great. So how do you see your role impacting the growth of Alameda?
So from an economic development perspective, I mean, I typically, explain to people that at its simplest, economic development is attraction and retention.
Right.
So we're trying to attract new investment in the city, and we're trying to retain the companies that we already have and create an environment for them where they can grow and expand and stay here in Alameda.
Thank you. Stephen, this is for you now. So the East Bay has seen significant economic shifts recently. So what are the key trends that the region really has seen that can improve, and what is the role of it in the growth of the Alameda's economics?
Yeah, well, that's thanks for the softball, Madeline. But in all honesty, there has been, yes, as we know, quite a few things that have been shifting and sorting out through the economy. I mean, we know, of course, that there has been a movement to return people to the office, and that's. Some sectors like manufacturing really always had that because, of course, you can't manufacture goods without workers being present to help produce them. And so in that respect, there's certainly been a number of companies in Alameda and elsewhere in the region that have sort of just been pushing through for all this time. And by the same token, other industries, of course, have saw the rise of remote work. There's still some sticking power to that, and I think that's going to continue for a while still. And it has implications, of course, for downtowns, local serving businesses, and kind of the ancillary impacts that it has about consumer spending. But I would say just from what we've seen looking around the whole region, Alameda seems to have weathered this period very, very well. No doubt in large part because of the strong presence of a few key industry sectors like biotech, advanced manufacturing, and a few others where, there's been, I think both industries that really, require people to be working in person, but also just a sort of dynamism and energy that you don't see in a lot of communities.
You pretty much covered a lot of things I wanted to ask you next, but I'm going to ask all of you, have you seen like a tremendous growth, strong growth on those sectors that are more visible in Alameda more than anywhere else?
I mean, I'll just continue what I was saying a moment ago. Is I think of course Alameda's got a number of really groundbreaking companies out here that are at this real cutting edge of the sort of nexus between what's been happening in manufacturing, really in advanced manufacturing for a long time, and really the growth of the tech sector and how those two things have converged. And I think you're seeing some really fascinating outgrowths of that here and now as you see new companies sprouting up. I think certainly the clean tech and some other segments, and there's others right here on this group that I think are even better equipped to speak to some of that growth. But no doubt as we look around, not just the East Bay or even the Bay Area, but really the nation, this is one of the hotspots.
Good to hear.
I would just add, Alameda's, life sciences is sort of known for tightly clustering. Life science companies like to be near other life science companies. It's sort of it's a dynamic that occurs in particular in that industry. And Alameda is very lucky to have some major life science companies, but also to have a portfolio of real estate assets, not the city, but not the city with a capital C, but the jurisdiction of Alameda has smaller scale space in Marina Village that then businesses can grow out of that and move to Harbor Bay or move to Alameda Point. So we are able to naturally kind of home grow a lot of businesses in life science and in clean tech in particular. So we've been very lucky, and of course during the pandemic when the push to work remotely was really strong in the office industry in particular. People had to come to work in labs. You can't do lab work at home. Yep. And so life science really took off in the East Bay, I would say, Stephen. I'd be curious to hear what you think sort of sub-regionally. We saw a lot of life science construction, and I know Berkeley's brought a lot of space online. It's been really interesting to watch what's happened with life science and kind of how much that sort of core East Bay life science industry has grown in Alameda versus, in surrounding communities.
Yeah, and I think that's true, and it's it's exciting to see. I mean, I know, Madeline, that your chamber and some of the other business partners around here have seen some of that growth, and really specifically companies even that have been over on the peninsula and in the South Bay, opting to counter the narrative of leaving the state, but actually just coming right across the bay to set up shop over here because the talent's here, the resources are here, the infrastructure and ecosystem is here. And costs are indeed lower here in the East Bay. Not saying that they're low, but they're relatively speaking more affordable. And you have all the amenities and assets that you can find really anywhere.
Absolutely. I think also the fact that we have our own municipality power here, that attracts a lot of businesses to come here and make it their home, which we're very grateful for, right? Yeah. So, Abby, the Alameda Point, really right now, it's the critical focus of having redevelopment there. Mm-hmm. Can you give us a little overview about what projects are being worked on and how it's going to impact the business community and the residents of Alameda Point?
Yeah, Alameda Point is a huge opportunity for the city, obviously. It's primarily publicly owned, about 700 acres of land in 2 million square feet of commercial space that's already built. And it's really unusual in this day and age for a city to have a tool like real estate development. It obviously, pre-2011, it was very common, and now it's not. And it's really exciting to see the opportunities we have. There's future opportunities for housing development. There's the reuse area where we have a lot of our hangars. And as you mentioned, Madeline, Alameda Municipal Power, is a huge draw. The fact that these hangars have been set up by the Navy with really high power, for heavy industrial uses, and then you get the power for 48% less than you would outside of the city. It's a huge competitive advantage. Yeah. And then we have the Enterprise District, which is really, it's 100 acres of future development area that we're hoping to draw a major anchor tenant in to really spark future development there.
Absolutely, I agree with. So what do you think the role of the Alameda Point Enterprise District will be in the growth of economy in Alameda?
Yeah, well, I think it's really important that we are being complimentary of what's already here, and the real opportunity afforded us. It's a real tough time to start new development, right? Capital is really tight. Developers are not building commercial projects on spec. They're going to only build it if they've got a tenant lined up. So we're really the conversation's not about development as much as it is about what kind of businesses we want, because it's the business that's going to drive the decision of when the Enterprise District is ready to be developed. And what we see is, the life science market is currently oversaturated because Berkeley's got this huge campus that they're still trying to lease. I think vacancy rates somewhere around 35%. for life science space in the Bay Area. So we need a unique tenant. We need somebody who really has unique spatial needs. And we need to be super flexible in making sure we can accommodate that unique spatial need. And we really don't want to be competing with Harbor Bay or Marina Village, right? What we're looking to do is fill the niche of somebody who can't fit in Alameda's existing commercial areas.
So for both of you, Dwayne and Abby, where do you see the role of the Alameda Chamber in support of those projects to grow the businesses, to attract to Alameda Point, and to make sure that we're really being stable in economy for the growth of the city?
Yeah. Do you want to start, Dwayne? Or?
Sure. And I wanted to bring up also a point that you guys talked about before when you about the tech companies, and one of the things that I also remember from the forecast was some of the testimonials for some of the panelists.
Yes.
And I remember one person saying, I think he had the phrase like, when you're looking at tech companies, he said he felt like his phrase was, "We're big enough to make a difference, but we're small enough to feel like we're part of a community." And
That's Alameda for us, yes.
and for us to kind of tell that story for tech companies, and he told his testimony about how they came over here and then fell in love with the community as a place for the workers to live and be part of this kind of tech community. So I thought that was that's a message that we'll probably be telling more of, or should be telling more of, kind of in our attraction efforts.
Yeah.
But back to your question, I mean, I've always felt like the chambers and economic development go hand in hand because we're both trying to strengthen the existing kind of business community.
Right.
So whether it's small businesses in our downtowns or larger businesses, we're both telling that story about doing business in Alameda and doing our work to try to, make that process for opening a business go smooth. We both want to be the people that kind of hold someone's hand through that process.
True.
Make sure that it's going well when they come here, but then also that to make sure that we're removing the roadblocks of doing business. So when we go out, say, and do joint kind of business visits, we're
Which
both
I can't wait until we do that.
right. We're both kind of asking those questions, like,
Yes.
okay, how can we help you? And we want to be your resource partner. So if you have questions about, and I always ask this, other departments in the city, we can be your conduit. We can be the person that helps you with whatever business issues you have. And I feel like that's the same role that the chamber has.
Absolutely, same role. Our mission and vision as a chamber, and I'm pretty sure it's all the chambers throughout, is to focus on being the conduit and the resource center for all the businesses, whether they're looking for something in support of growing their business, marketing it, or even asking to be the support for them to be connecting with the city to help them. We normally are the connectors and the conveners for that, right? So, Stephen, I have a question for you. How does Alameda Point and Enterprise District fit into the East Bay's broader economic strategy?
Yeah, it's a great question. Really, especially because there's a few key industry sectors that are really driving the growth and ongoing sort of preponderance of activity in the East Bay economy. It's advanced manufacturing, it's construction, it's also obviously healthcare and tech, and you have the presence of all of those here, but in particular, of course, advanced manufacturing and life sciences, as we've talked about already. The truth is that Alameda Point really represents one of the really just key regional assets throughout the entire Bay Area and really Northern California in terms of what it has to offer. I know that there's a lot of work being done that, Abby and others can speak to about sort of the infrastructure and improvements that need to be made for really what was a World War II base to become operational for 21st century technology needs. But, you really have so many amenities there, and you've seen companies take advantage of that. We've seen companies that have been, have located out there and really grown and had a chance to thrive because there are assets that are really almost impossible to find anywhere else. And you have a city that I think has been very thoughtful about how to leverage the opportunity that the base represents and also balance some of the growth that comes with that. And specifically, not to take us in a whole different direction, but I think it's notable to point out that Alameda has also been very thoughtful about housing and about the accommodation and growing and permitting of additional housing, because as we hear from companies everywhere really now in the Bay Area, it's housing is a key issue for talent retention and attraction. And so if you're not doing all these things at the same time, you're really you're going to have a hard time keeping up.
Can I just add to what
Yes,
Steven said?
absolutely.
One of the things I've really appreciated about East Bay EDA for a long time is that that they understand the role that the region plays in making local economies thrive, and in particular, I think for Alameda, I mean, East Bay EDA has put some focus on transportation, right? Because transportation is how we thrive. And for Alameda, it's both a major strength of ours in where we're located, as we've said, the access to the labor force, but it's also a real challenge of ours because we are an island and we don't have, we have great AC transit service, and we have great ferries, but getting those regional transportation connections to work is really important to the success of Alameda Point. So that's just I think a place where we're going to be working very closely in tandem with East Bay EDA and with Steven as we move forward in regional advocacy for better transportation options.
And I agree with you, because doing some surveys and asking questions to a lot of the businesses that come to Alameda, I asked the first thing, they said, we love the island, we enjoy it here. Our focus will be because as we're moving our employees and adding more employees, we're looking for housing. Yeah. Housing and transportation is a key thing for them. Some of them cannot live in Alameda, but they're always relying on the ferry to be here. And we're very fortunate. We have 3 ferry terminals in Alameda. I think a lot of our cities envy us for that, right? So my next question is going to be to both Abby and Dwayne. And the question is, what is the city's vision for fostering innovation and supporting small businesses as we move forward with these new developments in the plan?
Well, we're lucky that we have a strong foundation of businesses to really grow from. And there are a lot of businesses that understand what makes Alameda a great spot for innovation already. And I think one of the things that one of the programs that we have is really going out to the businesses and getting to know them and understanding why they have chosen Alameda and what works for them in terms of creating an innovative space and what doesn't. I think one of the things that innovation that companies that are innovating really require is flexibility in their space and in the regulations. And I think that's really the role that economic development and base for use play, right? The cool thing about Alameda Point is that it's both cool and it's a huge challenge, is that it is a space of anarchy, right? It's just anything goes out there, right? People have been tinkering in those warehouses for 25 years, and inventing. They have been inventing, but also anything goes, in the other sense that we're trying to control a little bit more of. But that space does give room for innovation, and so I think that's a huge opportunity for us. And Dwayne, what would you add?
Yeah, I think what Abby touched on is a big part of economic development. I mean, we need to get to have relationships with these businesses. We need to get to know them in order to figure out what their needs are. Right. And so some of the things that we're partnering with the chamber are doing business visits, doing your 12 at 12 lunch programs, right, the kind of roundtable mixers where we're bringing in CEOs to not only for them to talk to each other, but for us to be able to get educated on what are their needs. So I think programs like that are really important. From a small business perspective, I think it's so much of it is that small businesses are just, they're keeping their head above water. They're running their small business. So our role could be much more of linking them up with the resources that they need, that they don't know about, that we're aware of.
So what resources are you seeing that we can implement in Alameda now that we can support the small businesses with?
Yeah, so I think it's connecting them with resource providers. Right. So helping them become chamber members so they can have better opportunities to network with other businesses. Right. Working with your small business development centers, and having them be more active in Alameda, where they can, we could put on partnership with them trainings and workshops that are really tailored to the needs of those small businesses.
You touched on a very valid point, because that's what some of the struggles that we're seeing and hearing about with the small businesses is they don't have the resources. Yes, they're hands-on on their business. They're barely keeping their head above water with all the challenges that are facing them from anywhere else. And getting them resources such as the Small Business Development Center, SCORE, the SBA, all these things are things that can come and really help them grow, because it's really sad when a business starts and a few months or a year later say, we know what, we're going to quit because we can't. And for us to partner in that, to continue giving them the message that there is support, there is resources that you can use. And most of them are complementary from all these areas. So why not use them to grow your business and make sure that it's organic and successful all the time, right?
Right. And having also we left out the relationships with the downtown business associations.
Yes, exactly. That's another thing. I mean, we're very fortunate. We have West Alameda and Downtown Alameda associations, and they focus a lot on supporting their businesses there, but also for us to partner up with them, such as the Restaurant Coalition that we formed in 2020 during the pandemic. And that's in support with the city, with the chamber, Downtown Association, and West Alameda. And we used to meet actually with them every 2 weeks on Zoom to find out what challenges they have. We supported them with the third-party delivery services, support them with a lot of things, with grants, with money that the city put together for them. But then it started going to once a month, once a quarter. But now we want to bring it back and hear their challenges and see what can we do as a city and a chamber together to make sure that they stay valid and survive and consistently grow their business. Because all of them come and put seed money that they saved all their lives, and for them not to be succeeding, that actually is not good for us as a city and a chamber, and for them also it doesn't reflect well. So yeah, thank you so much for saying that, because I think it will be great. Mm-hmm. So the next question is for all of you, and feel free to chime in as you see fit. What are some of the biggest challenges Alameda faces in achieving the economic development goals, and how do you think they can be overcome?
It's an interesting question, in that I don't know that Alameda's challenges are necessarily all that different from a lot of other East Bay cities or Bay Area cities, in the sense that, we're in a high cost area. There's a lot of regulations that many businesses, and particularly some of the sectors I mentioned earlier, really struggle with. You want to talk about growth and development. CEQA stands in the way of some things, as well intended as it may be. And so I think that, but it really is the mix of, I think, really building more housing, continuing to create the environment and the foundation that allows businesses to have a little more predictability and understanding about timing for things like permits, and being able to sort of move through a process of development and growth. The talent equation always looms large, but I think there's really been some good efforts, and Alameda, if nothing else, is probably on the leading edge of some of that, being home to a community college right here in your city that's doing a lot of great work, and a district that's behind it that has 3 other colleges that are also providing some important pathway programs. And so I think it's about really the ongoing execution of those things, and frankly, the resources needed to sustain that are probably going to be some of the biggest questions that we're going to be facing in the near term. But if those resources can continue, and the sort of the foundation upon which all this has been built is able to stay fairly solid and intact, I think that the opportunities are really limitless.
Yep, thank you.
I think that was a nice kind of regional framing, Stephen. Thank you. And I would add, just build on one of the things that you said. I think that everything you said is spot on, which is the growing income and skills gap in the Bay Area, and the importance of those community colleges. And I think one of the really important assets that Alameda has that we haven't really talked about is the waterfront, and companies like Bay Ship and Yacht and WIDA that are hiring a variety of skill sets, a variety of kind of levels of educational attainment, and paying a living wage. And I know Bay Ship and Yacht has a partnership with College of Alameda. We heard that at a chamber event, right?
Yeah.
But that working waterfront is a huge asset of ours in terms of our contributions to solving for that middle skills and middle income kind of gap that we are growing in the Bay Area, which is also obviously connected to the housing inequity too. So I think that's really a place where we could be playing a huge role regionally, and I'm excited to help us step up there a little bit more. And then I would say also, as a former BART employee, I do have to just say transportation is a major challenge, as I mentioned earlier. And I think that we are really trying some innovative approaches to solving for the transportation problem and trying to encourage sustainable transportation. We're very lucky that we are a flat, bikeable island. And so in terms of people getting around who live and work, we have a huge advantage. NEC Transit provides, fantastic bus service. I think it's really cool that we launched the Woodstock. We launched the water shuttle this year, connecting to Jack London Square. I'm excited to see where that takes us because it's just thriving, but it's not enough. And I think it really speaks to this implicit demand that has existed to do that water trip.
Yes.
And I really would like to see us really grow in that. I think hopefully Navier and some of our local businesses can help us grow in that ferry space and really leverage that, because that I think is the most flexible, adaptable transportation opportunity that we have.
Yes. I agree with you. I was going to say Navier should step up and give us another taxi shuttle between Alameda Landing and Jack London Square.
Be a great
because I'm
place to
seeing a lot
pilot.
of demand on it. I see it a lot on the Facebook comments there that, they were there and it was full and we had to wait again and whatever. So if we can get another one, I think that would help us a lot. There is a lot of demand, like you said, Abby, for that one there because it's well needed between the two areas. So hopefully we can get one soon. And Navier hopefully can step up with that. I mean, they keep building and selling those boats, but we need something local here too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So, Gabby, this is for you. So how is the city working to balance the environmental and infrastructural needs of the Alameda Point project with demand for economic growth?
Yeah, this is why, the conveyance, the base closed in 1997, and we're sitting here, I think, in 2024 in a place that nobody expected back in 1997 we would be. We thought this would be a thriving, built-out environment, but a lot of that is due to the infrastructure needs out there, which are pretty significant, and the high cost of delivering that infrastructure. And so we have established this master infrastructure plan. The city went through this very extensive planning process on a variety of fronts about 10 years ago that I think really have laid the foundation for overcoming these challenges. So the master infrastructure plan really lays out all the infrastructure that we're going to need and costs it out, and including for sea level rise, right? Climate adaptation is going to be a huge part of development at Alameda Point. And for us to develop without contemplating sea level rise would be irresponsible.
Right.
And so, but it adds cost. It adds cost. So, we did have a work session with the city council a couple of weeks ago around development of the enterprise district, and we did one on development of future housing a couple weeks before that. And in both of those conversations with the council, they really called on us as staff to find innovative ways to solve this infrastructure barrier. And so I take that to heart, that's, that we have been putting that infrastructure cost on the private development community, largely out of necessity. And I think we need to continue to do that. But I think we also need to find ways to help offset that cost, because the way that costs have risen since the pandemic, and revenues and rents, et cetera, have not kept pace, has just made it really hard to spur economic growth and spur development. So we're going to have to find innovative ways to be pulling in other resources, federal resources, state resources, to try to supplement the costs of that infrastructure and help alleviate some of that burden.
And I agree with you because now that we would like to get more business come to Alameda Point and everything, the first thing that's going to hit is the infrastructure cost for them, right? That's going to get a little setback. So if we can find innovative ways of attracting funding, hopefully with this new election coming up and having new people there, perhaps they can start, seeing the vision of what Alameda Point is, and then they can start supporting it because, businesses would come here, and because we have a lot of leverage of everything, the great opportunity, especially at Alameda Point, but the infrastructure is a major setback, not only for potential businesses, also for the current businesses that are there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Good. You want to add anything to that, or you're good?
Oh, well, one of the things I wanted to add, kind of in a different direction from the question you asked, was, we've thrown around the word foundation, and I think what drew me, to the city is the foundation that's already here in kind of Alameda. Yeah. So just from extremely positive standpoint, I think other communities, all the communities in the East Bay are struggling with different types of things, but I like to feel that Alameda has that foundation already in place. So our struggles, mainly more are how do we get it to the higher level of what it already is?
Yeah.
And I feel like, we have the private investment here. We've got companies that have already invested in Alameda. You have the public sector of being committed to make this a great economy and a great place to do business. Part of your leadership program, meeting the police and the fire department and the commitment they have to create a safe community. And then lastly, the community itself. I've heard just in my short time here how much the community supports, how maybe it's being on an island, but that we're supporting our own here in Alameda. Yep. And it seems like there's a very strong sense of community there. So for me, it's kind of, that's the foundation of the positive foundation that Alameda has. And just being new here, it seems very apparent to me.
All right. Last question to all of you. What is one thing that's exciting for the future of Alameda? And what is something that the listeners and the viewers can pay attention to in the next few months? Something exciting that you would like to share?
Well, we have a lot of exciting real estate opportunities coming out in Alameda Point. We have a couple of properties that we're going to be putting on the market, including the Enterprise District, where we're starting to develop a marketing package that will be released in 2025, and working with Dwayne on trying to do some business recruitment. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about selling a couple of the warehouse buildings that we have and seeing. I mean, we've had some really creative adaptive reuse projects that have happened at Alameda Point, and I'm excited to see the next phase of that in the coming year.
That's exciting. So we have only 2 spots available for lease in Alameda Point?
No, we have lots of spots available for lease in Alameda Point. I was excited about the sales.
The sales.
That's the big
right.
money.
Okay. Yeah,
that's where our infrastructure dollars come from. Yeah. No, we have some. No, we are very excited because we have some huge lease opportunities for sure. Building 11, which is right on Seaplane Lagoon, is 110,000 square feet. I know. As beautiful building, gorgeous. And then building 24 that's across the street is 3 suites that are each about 20,000 square feet that the former Rockwell winery. And we're putting a new roof on that, which sounds really like nerdy to be excited about putting a new roof on a building, but that's welcome to my world. We're really excited about our new roof.
I know. I'm excited too. I'm very excited about that. Yeah.
So we have, I think those are 2 of our just key assets that we're just really going to be both propping up Spirits Alley and trying to get some food and beverage manufacturing uses out there along Monarch Street, which is where Building 24 is, but also propping up. We've been referring to it as Carbon Fiber Lane, West Tower Avenue, where we have Pica and Sail Drone and DOER and like all of our little very significant manufacturers. So maybe we can get another carbon fiber. Large 3D printing kind of company out there, something good like that in that Building 11.
Yep. Anything you want to add, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Abby really hit on it. And, she mentioned a few of the companies among the many here in Alameda that are really doing groundbreaking work, and I think you all know one of the things that East Bay DA really likes to do is to help tell those stories. And, we've told some of those through our Innovation Awards event. I know that last year there were a couple companies, Rain and Sail Drone, that both won awards. We're always looking to recognize more, and I'm excited about some of the companies that are here now that are going to continue to do great work, and we hope to be able to see them continue to grow and thrive. And so, when you talk about real near term, seeing some of those successes, seeing more of that investment and growth, and hopefully giving us a chance to help work with all of you to spotlight some of it. So.
I think so too. Anything you want to add? Anything exciting about the future of Alameda?
I'm excited about our partnerships
I am too, with you, especially with the chamber. I'm
so
very
with-
excited about this partnership.
with the chamber, but I mean with the East Bay ADA, and I think
Yes,
that
yeah.
just the partners that we have here and the ones
Yes,
that we want to
yeah.
strengthen to make Alameda a better community overall, but also the business community. So that's exciting to me.
So I'm excited also because Gold Bar Whiskey finally moved to Alameda now, and he's in the process of finalizing the final steps, and then we're planning a tour in January there. So I think that will be great. And yes, Stephen, you're in there too, included for sure. Yeah.
Yep.
No, but I just want to thank all three of you because your input is amazing to share exactly the vision of where Alameda is going with the economy and the growth. And we hope to have more and more growth throughout the 2025 and more as well. But thank you, all three of you, Dwayne, Stephen, Abby. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Madeline.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.